Hello. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Good evening, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. Hello, girl. Where were
Yes,
you yesterday?
ma'am. I wasn't speaking well yesterday, so that's why I didn't join the class.
You missed the session.
Yeah.
So will you be able to make up for it?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So yes, good evening, Varshini, Vinayak. Anybody else come in?
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening. So Vinayak, were you able to do any of the listening sessions?
Yes, ma'am. I did the reading and the listening homework.
Okay, great. So any doubts? Did you get the
Yeah,
answer?
yeah,
No doubts?
there are doubts.
Okay. So you can come up with your doubts then by the time everybody else joins in. So where did you face problems?
In the listening practice at 3,
Mhm.
I'm doubtful. Like, I'm not sure about the answer, so I wanted to check. The first one
First one.
and the 6th one.
Okay, so the first one says, this is practice set 3, right? In listening. This is about the history one, the eyeglasses
Yeah.
one. Okay. So the first one is, what is the lecture mainly about? Right? So what was the main topic of the entire lecture? So from your notes, what did you get? What did the lecture talk about?
Just a second, I need to take out the notes.
Yeah, just refer to your notes and see what did the lecture talk about. Yes, good evening, Abudai.
It was about
Hmm.
it was about glasses, I guess.
Yeah. Vision glasses and the
Yeah.
different ways that people use the glasses. There was also something about the printing press, but mainly it was about
Mainly about the vision.
vision correction, right?
Yeah.
So was it about
Yeah.
political events? No. Comparison of attitudes, that was a part of it, not the entire thing. Yeah. Relationship between printing press and literacy was also a part of it, but mainly about the vision correction. Right?
Okay.
So your D would be your answer.
Okay. And the 6th one.
6th one. Okay. Okay, this was when she said, what was it when she said? An easy solution, right?
Yeah.
So it was about I think the wealthy, they had people to read out to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it was.
It would be an easy solution if you can afford it, she said.
Yeah. So what does that mean? Was it does it show that she was impressed by the solution? Not really,
No,
right?
I
If he
did
said
B.
easy solution, if you could afford it, means now it is she wouldn't be like impressed. If you look at the other options, the solution she describes is obvious, isn't really obvious, right? Because this is something only the rich people would be using. And the solution was not common practice. That could be, not everyone could use it. And the solution was not particularly expensive. Okay, that is not the answer. That is
Yeah, it was expensive.
yeah, opposite of what she was talking about. So if you go through the options, I think the solution was not common practice would be most appropriate in this case.
Yeah.
Right? So C would be your answer.
Okay. And yes, yes.
Hmm.
And then in the listening practice set 4, fifth question.
4, fifth question. Okay, 4 was about, just a moment, I'll just take my notes soon. Okay, 4 was about the student and the dean.
Ma'am,
Yes, yes,
Uh,
Varshini.
I had a doubt too in the practice set 3.
Okay,
What is the answer for the third question?
third question. Okay, the third question says, what does the professor imply about invention of eyeglasses? Right?
Yeah, ma'am.
So now, if you look at the options, first one says its historical records are more detailed than those of other inventions. Does that come in the lecture anywhere?
No.
Not really, right? So you can eliminate. If you're not sure of an answer, just go through elimination.
Okay.
Okay. So now we can't say that it could be detailed. Now B says it had little impact on social attitudes towards vision correction. So invention of eyeglasses, did it have little impact or did it help the people to use eyeglasses and they became cheaper?
It had a huge impact.
Yeah, it had huge impact. So you would eliminate B, right?
Yeah.
Now C says its occurrence in different places at approximately the same time is not unusual. Now here the professor does talk about the eyeglasses being prevalent in Europe, in China at the same time, right?
Yeah.
So now, and it says it's not unusual. So we can keep this as the answer and see if we can eliminate D. It contributed to a substantial increase in the number of literate people. So is that true?
Ma'am, it doesn't specifically mention in the...
Yeah, it doesn't specifically mention. So the answer you choose should be supported by the content of the lecture.
So it's supposed to be C, right?
Yeah, so it will be C. So you can eliminate D. And yes, the professor does say that it did appear in different parts of the world, in Europe and China at the same time. So we can take C as the answer because we have anyway eliminated the others.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, welcome. So anybody else who has done this exercise, any doubts? We just discussed a few doubts.
I'm in practice set 4, fifth one.
Okay, for practice set 4, the first one.
Fifth one.
So, fifth one. Okay. So what was the track? Anybody remember?
About the boy organizing an event.
Okay, yeah. To express doubt over the man's qualification for the project. Okay. So this was about the professor and the dean asking him to join the professor in his in her project, right?
Yeah.
So was it about any doubt?
No,
Not
I
really.
did B. But not sure. I don't think it was a doubt.
So what would it be?
I think it's B, but not sure.
This is practice set 4. Yeah, just let me get to the track.
Asking if you would be willing to do the work.
So it wasn't really about expressing a doubt. Now, if we look at to ask a man if he would be willing to work on the project, and that could be to ask a man to recommend someone. She's not asking the man to recommend somebody else. To apologize for being not being able to know. So it is basically, I think B should be the answer.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And not recommending somebody else. So we would go with B. right?
Ma'am, I also had doubts on reading section.
Okay. Which one?
In practice set 2, reading section.
Set.
Ancient Rome and Greece.
Hmm.
Question number 3.
Question number 3. There is a paraphrase one. Yeah. The
The
phrase obsession
obsession.
with in the paragraph is closest in meaning too. So when you
I'm
have
confused between
with,
B and C.
conveys fixation on and interest in.
Interesting.
Okay, when you're talking about obsession, would you say you are interested in something? You're
Kind of,
obsessed
maybe.
with something. So obsession is a degree higher than being interested in,
Okay.
right? So
Yeah.
fixation on will be correct because it shows that you are not just interested, you are actually really into it,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
So it says obsession with unity and cohesion. So they are not just interested in unity and cohesion, but they actually want it in a big way,
Okay.
right?
Then the 5th one.
5th one. Okay, why does the author mention Alexander the Great in the passage? So Alexander the Great was mentioned. Okay, everyone can please, as far as possible, have your videos on today, right? So just check whether you can have your videos on or not, because today is going to be an interactive session more than other days. Okay, now here it says, of course, the contrast is not quite so stark. In Alexander the Great, the Greeks had found the greatest territorial conqueror of all time. And the Romans, once they moved outside Italy, did not fail to learn lessons of sea power. Now, this is a comparison between the Romans and the Greeks, right? It's talking about the Romans being inspired by the sea power of the Greeks. Yeah. The contrast is, and the previous sentence says, while the Greek world had expanded along the Mediterranean sea lanes, the Roman world was assembled by territorial conquests. Yeah. So the difference between the Romans and the Greeks were that the Greeks had sea power, the Romans had just territorial conquest. So if you look at the
So
option,
B, to compare Greek leaders to Roman leaders.
no, it's not compare, because in the first part is they are not talking about any Roman leaders, right?
Okay.
So you're not comparing Roman leaders and Greek leaders. What are you comparing? Their powers.
Expand. Yeah.
The power, the Alexander the Great conquered by sea and the Romans conquered by land. There is a two key words that we come across. So if you are talking about this, the options to acknowledge that Greek civilization also expanded by land conquest. So if you see, the keyword here is also expanded, right, by land conquest. Now B says compare, so they're not comparing, you can eliminate. C says to give an example of a Greek leader whom Romans studied. Are they talking about Romans studied them?
No.
No, right? So eliminate. To indicate the superior organization of Greek military. Is it talking about the superiority of Greek military? It says the contrast is quite so stark. In Alexander the Great found the greatest territorial conqueror of all time, and the Romans, once they moved outside Italy, did not fail to learn the lessons of sea power. So the Greeks had sea conquered by sea and by land. That's the point we get. Yeah. So your answer will be
A.
A. Right?
Yeah.
Got it?
Yes.
Any other doubts? Anybody else has any doubts? No?
7th one.
All done? Okay, great. So anybody, so Abuday, have you been able to do anything? Any homework done?
I was not able to do because I had a test today in school. Sorry for that. I will do it today.
Okay, so maybe over the weekend you can do some homework,
Yes.
right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then. So today, okay, Abuday, please ensure that your mic is working properly today. Yeah. Are you facing a network problem? Then you can shift to some other device for your speaking. So today we are moving on to the next section, which is speaking. Right? Now we did reading, we did listening. Now coming to speaking, this is a very important section. Why? Because you need lots and lots of practice for this. Now the speaking section, to give you an overview of it, consists of 4 speaking tasks. Yeah. And it can be divided into 1 independent speaking and 3 integrated speaking tasks. So when you talk about independent speaking, you'll be given a question or say a general topic. Usually it is based on general topic. No, not much knowledge will be required, but yes, you need to prepare yourself to be able to get points while you speak. It's going to be an extempore speaking. Yeah. So I'll be giving you, in fact, you have in your books a whole list of speaking topics, and you can prepare, you can get, say you prepare for say about 10 topics, and you will find that you can use the content of one topic to speak on another topic. So you can find a relationship between different topics. And then you have 3 integrated speaking tasks, which consist of read, listen, speak. Yeah, 2 of them are read, listen, speak, and 1 is just listen and speak. So you listen to a lecture and speak. And the other 2 are, 1 will be a campus situation, a conversation, and based on a particular, say, notice or flyer or any announcement made by the university. And the second integrated speaking task will be a particular topic, on a particular topic or a concept rather. So you will be reading something based on the concept. So what is the concept, and maybe 2 or 3 points relating to the concept, and then listening to a lecture on that concept, explaining the concept with the help of examples, right? And after that, you will be asked to respond to a question based on the 2. So you have to be able to get all the information together. And that's why in the integrated task, your notes taking will be extremely important. Yeah. So the listening notes and the reading notes, both will be important. Okay. So today we will be focusing on the independent task. Okay. Now, another thing you have to be very careful about.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yes.
Can you once again explain about the integrated speaking?
Integrated speaking, I said you'll have 3 integrated speaking tasks. 2 will be read, listen, speak, and 1 will be just listen and speak. So the listen and speak one will be a lecture, and you will be asked a question based on the lecture. So when you are listening, you have to take down notes, as I explained yesterday. And in the other 2, you'll be reading a little portion. So the second integrated speaking, in fact, when you talk about the speaking task, you should keep in mind what is what task. So task number 1 is independent. Task number 2 is conversation, integrated. Task number 3 will be academic, based on a concept and explaining the concept. So in the conversation one, you'll usually get a flyer or notice or an announcement made by the university, a short box you will get, you will be reading the content in it, taking down notes, and then listening to a conversation and summarizing the opinion of the student. Yeah. Now, in the third task, you will get a small article, very small article on a particular concept, and maybe two points related to that particular concept. And the lecture will be based on the same concept, but explaining it with the help of examples. Yeah, we'll come to the details later when we are doing those tasks. This is just an overview of what the tasks are. Now, one thing you will notice is your total time for all these tasks, all the 4 tasks, is just 17 minutes. And in the speaking task, you are measuring your time in seconds, not in minutes. Yeah. Now, coming to the time, if you see your independent task, you will get 45 minutes to speak. Sorry, 45 seconds, not minutes. So you get 45 seconds to speak. And your preparation time will be just 30 seconds. Yeah, in 30 seconds, you have to think, put down a few points, and then when they say, now you can speak, you start speaking. Now, one thing you have to remember is the format is such that they will be giving you the instructions. Yeah, reading out the question for you. All the question will appear on your screen, and then you will be instructed. Now you take 30 seconds to prepare, and then there will be another instruction. You will get 40 seconds to speak. You can start speaking now, and there will be a bell or a beep, and you will start speaking after the beep, and you can speak for just 45 seconds. Whatever you speak after that will not get recorded. Yeah. So only between the beep and the end of 45 seconds, that is the time you have to complete your speaking task. Got it? So that is a little difficult in the beginning, but once you get the hang of it, it becomes very easy. So I will train you in how to organize your points, how to say, yeah. So so that you don't go haphazard. If you go haphazard, then it is not organized. And when you're talking about the integrated tasks, here you get 40. In some of them you get 45 seconds to prepare. Some you get 30 seconds to prepare, and you speak for 60 seconds. That's a little longer, about a minute, and a minute is enough for expressing your, and here you don't express your opinion, you just talk on the points that are already given to you, right? Now, the independent task, you are supposed to express your opinion, right? So question is asked, you express your opinion, you give your reasons for it, and your task is done. Now, what is important is the scoring pattern. Now, each of the tasks is scored on a scale of 0 to 4. Yeah. And they will be summing up all the tasks, say 4 tasks. Suppose you get 3 in 1, 4 in 1. 4 is, if your response is very good. So you get 3 in 2, 2 in 1, or 2 in the other 2 of them. So it amounts to 6, 7, 8, 10. Yeah, that 10 is then converted into a scale of 0 to 30. Right? So if you get, now how much you will get depends upon how well your response is. So now how will you know that your response is good? What are they expecting in your response? That is important to know before you even start preparing. Now, what goes in is there are about 4 parameters that you are graded on. The general description, that is whether you have fulfilled the demands of the task. So there could be like whether your task is complete or not. It is intelligible, means whether whatever you are saying makes sense. It should be coherent and sustained. That means it shouldn't be like you are off mark in somewhere you are saying it properly. You shouldn't be too fast or too slow. You should be able to complete the task within the time. It should not be incomplete. Now, delivery, this is very important. Clear and fluid speech and your pronunciation, both are important. Yeah. So when you are speaking, you should not be stammering too much. So you have to make sure, don't stammer, don't say too fast. It should be a pace like you are talking to somebody. In a conversation, how do you talk? That way. So natural pacing should be sound there, and natural sounding intonations. Yeah, this is what you have to keep in mind. It's not like you are racing through time. You know it's 45 seconds, but it is more than enough to put your points through. Now, language use is also important. So your sentences, even though you are speaking, they should be grammatically correct, and your vocabulary should be, it doesn't have to be high flown, but strong enough. You should be able to use the words properly, but don't use words which are out of place. They will catch you on that and you lose points. Yeah. So it can be simple language, but you should know what words to use appropriately. Right. And of course, topic development is very important, whether it is in the integrated or in the independent section. So they'll see whether you have answered the question. So reading the question and what is the question asking you is important. So according to what the question is asking you, you need to present your ideas. And they should be clear, crisp. Right? Okay, sorry, this was not 30 seconds, it's 15 seconds. So now the independent task, your preparation time is 15 seconds. Your speaking time is 45 seconds. Now 15 seconds, if you remember, you all were asked to wash your hands for 15 seconds during the pandemic. Yeah? Quite a long time. You can sing your happy birthday song, I think, twice or thrice. If you recall. So 15 seconds to prepare is enough, but you have to focus. And that is what you have to practice. Right? Now your topics will be not too specific, just general topics that you come across every day. You have to give your own ideas, and you can draw from your own experiences, so that makes it more original. Yeah. So usually personal experiences are asked. Now, if I'll just take you to a few of the topics to understand. Say this one. Now the directions are given to you. They will be reading out the directions also. So that is an extra time you get to prepare. Yeah, to get yourself focused. So say you have this particular question. Which school you would rather attend? A small school with smaller class sizes, with more personal interaction with the professors? A large school with more computer facilities and more opportunities for extracurricular involvement? Use specific reasons and examples to support your choice. So if you read this part will be there in every question. So they will be expecting specific reasons and examples to support your points. So when you have this is a preference type of question, where you would, what do you prefer? Whether you want to prefer, now you can choose any one of them. In 45 seconds, you can't speak too much. Choose any one side, give reasons, support it with the help of examples. Say if you think that smaller school size would be better for you with personal interaction with professors. Now, first thing you do is you paraphrase the question, right? Say in this case, you would paraphrase, you can start like, I would prefer smaller school size with less students where I can interact with professors over the larger schools with more students and computer facilities, right? Maybe you don't need to even go through all the points given, right? Now the task is why, answering the question why. You said I prefer. Now why? You have to give at least 2 reasons, right? Now those 2 reasons must be supported with examples. So now if you were to answer, how would you go about it? Anybody wants to try? Saransh? Okay, yes, Abuday, you wanted to try? Can you unmute yourself? Yeah, thank
Yes.
you.
We look at 15 minutes, 15 seconds preparation time right now.
Okay, you can take 15 seconds preparation time.
Thank you.
Everyone take 15 seconds preparation time. Put
Ma'am.
down your points. So you need 2 reasons and each reason needs 1 example.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Yes.
So when I'm speaking, do I speak from, I mean, obviously I have to speak from my perspective, but then
Yeah.
do I give general information too?
Not required.
Okay.
Yeah. The more specific you are, the better.
Okay.
So you can think, you can take any side. Maybe you think that larger schools with more computer facilities are better. So you can pick any side, but you need reasons for that and examples. So the best thing is take down notes, put down your points. Maybe you come up with 3 reasons. Okay, anyone prepared to speak? Yes? Who's prepared to speak?
Ma'am, I have like 3 reasons, but I only got 2 examples. I don't have example for 1 reason.
So you can focus on 2 reasons.
Okay. So should I start?
So you can give it a try. So everyone give it a try before I go on to explaining how to go about it. I want to see how you are. I want to see your first try.
Okay, ma'am. So I will
Yeah.
start. I
Yes.
would prefer a larger school with more computer facilities and more opportunities for extracurricular involvement. Because extracurricular involvement leads to character development and helps us to get ready for the world. For example, IIMUN, which is a model United Nation, it helps us to increase our speaking skills, like the public speaking skills, and help us get socialized and obviously run new things. Then cultural events and school clubs. which also help us build new skills. Secondly, having more computer facilities is like helps us to get more exposure of the world and how the world works.
Okay.
For example, we can learn about stocks and we can learn coding, which will help us in future.
Okay. Now you have
Yeah.
a lot of points. Now, what you have to do is you have to compress it a little, right? Make it concise. So we will, of course, your points were good. Now what you have to try is put the whole thing into a nutshell so that you can express all your opinions, all your ideas in 45 seconds. Now,
Okay.
initially, I will not go with 45 seconds because you have to first build up on your strategies and your thinking. So once your thinking skills are done, you can start managing your time, right? Now, another thing, Abuday, when you are putting in the points,
Yes,
make
ma'am.
it personal.
Okay.
Like more extracurricular activities like the MUN
Yeah.
plus 2. Instead of that, participating in MUN has helped me too, right?
Yeah,
So
I have
more,
participated in couple of events. So I
yeah,
wrote it down.
the more personal you go, it helps you to make it more specific.
Okay.
So like it says, use specific reasons and examples, the more personal, the better.
Okay.
Right? For example, MUN has helped me to do this, has helped me to develop communication skills. And maybe your extracurricular activities like, what did you say?
School clubs.
Yeah, the school clubs. So you can pick up a particular club. Yeah,
Yeah.
school
Okay.
clubs
Sure.
such as this. Through this, I could develop my leadership skills, right?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
competitiveness, or you can talk about any sport. Yeah. So as far as
Yes.
possible, make it personal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ma'am, sure.
So to
Yes.
begin with, your points were very good. Now you have to learn to put it into the format. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Anyone
Sure.
else wants to try this one?
Can I?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
So,
Vinay.
yeah. I prefer smaller schools with smaller classes sizes if I get more personal interaction with the professors. This is because if we get smaller class sizes, then there will be less number of students, because of which the professor will be focusing more on the limited number of students, and more personal interaction will help in getting our doubts solved and correction in different areas and better performance.
Okay.
Yeah.
So do you have examples?
No.
So when you say personal interaction will help us get doubts solved, you can give an example, a personal example you can give, right? So you can say that, for example, in a smaller class, I was able to clear my doubts in, say, a particular subject, yeah, easily, and I was able to interact with the professor, right? So you can do that. And yes, you had a lot of repetition, which with practice, I think you will be able to. So one thing you can do is, everyone, when you are practicing for the independent speaking task, initially, say the first 2-3 days, write it down, right? So whatever comes to your mind as you are speaking, write it down. So after you've written it down, you know that, okay, these parts I repeated, this here, there was something I could have changed, right? So that will help you to improve on it. So you will know exactly that, okay, where am I going wrong? So 3 days you will write. Next, after that, you will be timing yourself. And the best thing to see whether you have actually performed well or not is record yourself. When you are speaking, always record your speaking task and listen to it. You can share the speaking task with me. You can send me on WhatsApp. Okay, I have shared the material on the WhatsApp group. Everyone has downloaded, right? So another thing, when you are practicing for TOEFL, use the PDF. So it is section-wise PDF is given to you so that you don't have to scroll up and down too much. So use the PDF. That what will happen is when even during the reading section, you will not be getting any printed material for the test. So practicing from the PDF, which is on your screen, will help you get some practice to that, so that you are not, you know that you won't be able to use your pens, pencils to mark things on the book. Yeah. So use the PDF as far as possible to practice. That will help you in improving your timing and your focus. Okay, so anybody has some other points on this? Varshini, what do you have?
Now I'm not sure if it'll last for 45 seconds, but I'll try.
No, it doesn't matter. I'm not timing you. I just want the matter.
Okay.
The content is important, first thing.
Yeah. I would prefer a smaller classroom with smaller. No, I would restart.
Okay, you can restart.
Yeah. I would prefer a smaller school with smaller classroom sizes because I would be given more personal attention because there's a less strength of the class. I can clear my doubts with the professor individually because the students are not really, there are not many students. I can ask more doubts without a huge class commotion, and there could be more reading tests and special tests conducted for me, which would help me increase my grades. For example, I was able to do my practicals better since there was less students and my teacher was able to help me better.
Okay. Right. So in the first part of your response, did you find some repetition?
Yeah, ma'am, a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's where you taking down notes while you that 15 seconds to prepare can be used to taking down your points, to putting down a few points so that you don't repeat. Yeah. And we will come to a template which will help you to focus on your points. Right. Okay. So now more or less you, okay. Anyone else? Gard, do you have any points?
Yes, ma'am. Like I would prefer a smaller school with smaller classes size and more personal interaction with professor as the learning is enhanced. There are less number of students, so teacher can concentrate on us and it could clear our doubts very.
So, so how many points did you have?
Ma'am, I had 2 points. Like
2 points. Were the 2 points
ma'am, that the
different or the same broken up?
ma'am, you could say they were same, like not much alterations there.
Yeah. So you can think of a particular example so that you get a second point.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, ma'am.
So that's all you have?
Yeah.
Okay. So who hasn't spoken? I think Saransh hasn't spoken. Yes, Saransh. What points do you have?
I would prefer to attend a smaller school with small classroom sizes rather than a larger school because there will be more one-on-one interaction with the students. It will also help the student to speak more clearly and gain confidence in speaking. It will give more clarity on uh, it will focus more on doubt solving since there will be more interaction with the teachers. The students can clear their doubts easily.
Anything else?
And also there will be less disturbance or distraction in the classes.
Okay. So now all these points that everyone has been putting forward, now write it down for yourself. Try to make it personal. Yeah, getting the I factor into it. Right? So getting in the I factor makes it personal and makes it specific. Instead of saying it will help students, it will help me, because it says, which school would you rather attend? They're not asking about what other people will be attending. It's about you. Yeah, the question is asking about you, so you have to keep it to yourself.
Okay,
Right?
ma'am.
So you can try this. Okay, now before we do something else, I will take you to the scoring rubric so we understand what is exactly required and what the scores will be. Okay, so if you get to your books, I'm not sure what page would it be, because I've got the old edition, you must be having the new one. This will be the end of the speaking section, where you will find the the scoring rubrics. Probably,
Ma'am,
yes.
during the 45 seconds of speaking,
Hmm.
uh, will be allowed to refer to the notes which we have made.
Yeah, of course. You will
Okay.
have your notes. Now, the one thing good about the TOEFL speaking is you will get a mic, and whatever you speak is getting recorded. And you don't have to bother, because it's not a video recording. Only your voice is getting recorded. So you have to make sure you speak clear and loud, and you can look at your notes all the time. Right? So that's why writing down your points and referring to them will be useful. Okay. Okay. Now coming to the scoring rubrics, this is the independent speaking scoring rubrics. Yeah. Now you would be aiming for a score of 4. You have a score of 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0 if you haven't spoken anything. Right? Or you've spoken absolutely off topic. Now, to get a score of 4, as I said, the 4 parameters: general description, delivery, language use, and topic development. All 4 parameters are scored on. Right? So when they say 4, they will be scoring on you on how you have responded. So now if you see, there's a compare. If you compare between 4 and 3, this is the scoring rubrics the examiners will be following. Right? So here if you see, the response fulfills the demands of the task with at most minor lapses, incompleteness. It is highly intelligible, exhibits sustained coherent discourse. Response at this level is characterized by all of the following. It is now, if you see here, it says fulfills demands, minor lapses, highly intelligible, sustained coherent discourse. Yeah. Now, if you come to a score of 3, the general description would be the response addresses the task appropriately, but may fall short of being fully developed. So if it is not fully developed, some points are missing, or maybe it is not as good as it should have been. Now it is generally intelligible. There it said it is highly intelligible, right? And coherent with some fluidity of expression. There it was sustained coherent discourse. Yeah. Some noticeable lapses. There it says at this level is there are minor lapses. Yeah. Score of 4 would be minor lapses. Score of 3 would be noticeable lapses in expression of ideas. So if you see, there's a what is the difference? Score of 4 is perfect.
Ma'am, I have a doubt.
Yes.
What if we score 4 in delivery, languages, and topic development, and we get in the general description? So what will be the overall score?
Now the score of 4 includes all of them. So they will be taking into consideration everything for a score of 4. It's not
So
that
majority, if we get according to this, if our delivery, languages, and topic development is for good, sufficient for 4 marks, and but our general description was about like 3 marks or so. So we will get the majority one.
General
We get
description
overall.
involves delivery, language use, and topic development.
Oh, like that. Okay, I thought it's just separate.
No, it's not
criteria.
separate. Like you see, the response at this level is characterized by all of the following. So it includes delivery, language use, topic development. So overall impression is this. Now coming to the specifics, when you talk about delivery, generally well-placed flow, that is fluid expression, speech is clear. May include minor lapses or minor difficulties with pronunciation or intonation patterns, which do not affect overall intelligibility. So that is the delivery part of it, right? Now coming to the language use, effective use of grammar and vocabulary, right? Exhibits fairly high degree of automaticity with good control of basic and complex structures, right? So that means your hold on the language is really good. Then some minor errors, yeah, are noticeable, but do not obscure meaning. So that is the language part. So your grammar is perfect. Your usage of, so your syntax, your usage of the words, the language is good. There may be minor errors, but not really something that doesn't hamper your flow or hamper the response. Okay, now when it comes to topic development, given a topic, you have to be able to put in your ideas clearly. Yeah. So it says response is sustained, sufficient to the task. Generally well developed. It says generally well developed. Yeah. And coherent. Relationships between ideas are clear. Or clear, that is a clear progression of ideas. So when you talk about you talk about a reason, and then you get into and then you give an example, and then you go into a second point. They shouldn't be overlapping of points. Yeah. So clear, crisp, perfect delivery. Now, if you come to a score of 3, when would you get a score of 3? The general description we already said. Now coming to the specifics, speech is generally clear. So it says generally clear. Yeah, here it says well-placed flow, fluid expression, and speech is clear. Here it comes generally clear. With some fluidity of expression, though minor difficulties with pronunciation, intonation, or pacing are noticeable and may require listener effort. So if the examiner is not able to comprehend what you are saying, that will become a problem. Yeah. The overall intelligibility is not significantly affected. Not significantly affected. There it was like, do not affect overall intelligibility. Yeah. So there's a slight difference between the two. Now coming to the language use. The response demonstrates fairly automatic and effective use. So it is fairly, it is not good. Yeah. Fairly coherent, expression of relevant ideas. Response may exhibit some imprecise, some imprecise or inaccurate use of vocabulary or grammatical structures, or be somewhat limited in the range of structures used. So not really complex sentences, maybe simple sentences, but a limited use of vocabulary. Yeah, this may affect overall fluency, but does not seriously interfere with the communication. So communication and message is clear, but there is a limitation in the use of vocabulary or language. Yeah, maybe your sentence structure is not proper. Maybe you have some grammatical errors somewhere. Now, when coming to topic development, response is mostly coherent and sustained. In 4, they said response is sustained and sufficient to the task. Yeah, it conveys relevant ideas, information. Overall development is somewhat limited, lacks elaboration or specificity. Yeah, so maybe you have given a reason, but you haven't elaborated on it. Maybe your examples are missing, or relationship between the ideas many at times not be immediately clear. So the clarity is not there, right? So this is the difference between a score of 4 and 3. So usually we can attain a score of 3, but our aim is a score of 4. And if you see, it requires a lot of practice to get to the score of 4. Yeah. Now, if you think that why did you get 2? At some point of time, maybe you get a 2. Why would you get a 2? Response addresses the stars, but development of the topic is limited. Yeah. Contains intelligible speed, although speech also problems with delivery or overall coherence occur. Meaning may be obscured in places. So if you talk about the delivery, it would be something like speech is basically intelligible, though listener effort is needed. That is, it's not very clear, right? Unclear articulation, awkward intonation, choppy rhythm or pace. So maybe you are taking too much of a pause at some places and hurrying up at the others. That shouldn't be. Yeah. Now, when coming to the language use, demonstrate limited range and control of grammar and vocabulary. Then it goes on to limitations often prevent full expression of ideas, only basic sentence structure. So it is very basic. Language use and sentence structures are very basic. Then structures and vocabulary may express mainly simple, short, general propositions with simple, unclear connections made among them. So this is important, unclear connections. Now coming to the topic development, a response is connected to the task, though the number of ideas present or the development of ideas is limited. Most basic ideas are expressed. At times, relevant substance may be vaguely expressed or repetitious. So that is what you have to avoid. Vague expression, repetitions, and connections of ideas may be unclear, right? So now you know if you are going wrong, where are you going wrong? This scoring rubrics and the descriptions will help you to improve on your tasks, on your responses, right? And response of 1 we don't need to go into because I don't expect anyone to get 1. So between 3 and 4 will be a good score. Yeah, 4 will be excellent, 3 will be good enough, right? Okay, so now what we'll do is, now how to get this type of a score? That is a problem, right? So we will get into okay, I hope you can see the shared screen.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So now, how to get your response to the level of 4? Yeah. Now we know one thing should remember is there's no right or wrong answer. So even if there is some question where you think that should I speak on this or should I take this stance or that stance? Should I say I prefer this over that? Doesn't matter. As long as you can express yourself clearly and you have the proper reasons, strong reasons, you have a strong response, it doesn't matter which side you pick. Yeah. And of course, you can make up a little. It need not be like something you have experienced. You can also make up something. That doesn't matter as long as it sounds genuine. Yeah. Now we already went through this, the parameters on which you are scored. So what do you have to keep in mind? This thing, that your response should be complete, intelligible, coherent, and sustained. So mark this as important. This will be in the last part where you have the guide section, maybe around somewhere around page 90, 94, 95 or so. Or maybe even before that. In mine, it is page 90. You have to just see where it is in your volume. Have you all found it? Yes. Varshini, have you found it in your book?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, everyone found it? So I want you to follow it and mark wherever I say important or whatever, the points that you need to keep in mind. So this is something you have to keep in mind. What is required in your response? Clear, fluid, focus on good pronunciation, natural pacing. Don't hurry through or don't get stuck. Free of errors with effective use of grammar and vocabulary. So as you saw, for a score of 4, it should be very minor errors can be there. Generally well-developed, coherent, showing clear progression of ideas. So this is what you need to keep in mind. Right? So mark this as important. Now the problem arises that you have just 15 seconds to prepare. And by the time you start thinking, those 15 seconds get over. Right? So how are you going to prepare? Planning is the most important thing. You have to write down your points. So maybe when you are talking about an independent writing, point number 1, point number 2, and the reason with example. Right? All this is required. So reason, example, what is your point? So and clearly you should have 2 clear points, not mixed up. Yeah. So how will you express your 2 clear points? Using templates. Yeah. So when you use templates, you know that, okay, first point, now I'm moving on to the second point. So you tell them clearly, firstly, secondly. So even the examiner knows, okay, 2 points were, the student has attempted 2 different points, right? So when you're talking about the templates, why would you need the templates? For all your tasks now onwards, except for the reading section and the listening section, you would be using templates. Now the templates help you to organize your response. Yeah. So when you say organize your response, you need a logical flow, coherent ideas, clear, crisp expression. So that is where these templates come into importance. So when you are responding, first thing is organization patterns, and second is the transition words and phrases. These are extremely important to bring in clarity. yeah, for a high scoring response, right? So when you are talking about templates, now if you, what you do is you pick up a template and use the same template when you are practicing for each and every question in the independent section. Only difference will be the question format may differ in that it could be preference or advantages, disadvantages, or it could be what is your opinion about. So only that part will differ. Otherwise, your structure will remain the same. Yeah. So when you fixate on, when you fix a structure for yourself and start practicing based on that, you will find that your response has improved a lot. And your preparation time will also reduce. So you will not go haywire. Okay, now I got my first point. Now how to begin my second point? Or the most difficult part is how to begin your response, right? So when you have a template, that problem is solved. Now the question types you have is agree, disagree, personal preference. You could have an if imaginary situation given to you. Like if you were to be the president of India, what is the first thing you would do? A hypothetical situation. So, or if you were to go to a foreign land, what are the different places that you would want to visit? Any question can be just about anything. And there could be a description or explanation type of question, advantage and disadvantage, and the 3 choice question type. There could be 3 choice or 4 choice. So 3 choices are given or 4 choices are given. And this is basically a preference question with 3 to 4 choices or maybe 2 choices, right? Now, what you have to do is keep your answer straightforward and concise. Where have you all disappeared? Everyone's got your screen closed down. I hope you're all there and focusing.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. I think
Yes,
you will
ma'am.
have the screen on so that I can also focus. It's good to talk to people, not to just screens. Okay. Now, when you are talking about, say, taking a side, expressing your opinion, when you're expressing your opinion, you will be always taking a side. Yeah. So when you're taking a side, what do? You explain your position on the issue. That is, you agree to something or disagree to something, you prefer this over that, or you think the advantages are more. And 2 points should always be there. Yeah. Now, when you are taking 2 positions, maybe you got 1 point to talk for, and you're getting another point to talk for the particular issue. You can talk about the other side of it also, the alternate position. Yeah. Okay, let's pick up any one of them, say agree, disagree. So you have a question. Do you agree or disagree that students should bring their cell phones to school? Use details and examples to support your explanation. Now it is agree or disagree. So you pick up one stance. Yeah. Either you say you agree to it or you disagree to it. Yes.
I have a doubt. For the question which we just did about the class size and the large school,
Yeah.
in that also we have to choose anyone, or we can talk on both if we have time. Like one
If you
point for one,
have
1
time,
point for
you
one.
can talk on both. But the
Okay.
problem is that in 45 seconds, you would rather talk on one side,
Okay.
right? Not that you can't talk on both, you can. So when you are talking about that, why you prefer, you can see that you can talk about the disadvantages of the other thing. So you don't, maybe you are not coming up with 2 clear ideas. So you can talk about one, why you prefer this, and one about why you don't prefer the other. You can do that. Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, so now coming to the template for this, your question is, do you agree or disagree that students should bring their cell phones to school? right? So there are two sides of the coin. You can pick up any one of them, right? So now how do you begin? Before we get to the content, we will look at the template that you're going to follow. Now you can begin with, I do that students should bring their cell phones to school. It's not, they are not allowed to. Yeah, they should bring. Why should they bring? Now you have to always answer the why question. That is very important. When you answer the why question, you get your reasons and examples, right? So now you begin with either I do agree or disagree that students should bring their cell phones to school, or I agree with the idea that some people believe that, but I disagree. Now these are different templates, not only for this question, but similar agree or disagree questions, right? Any agree or disagree question, you can pick up any one of these and fix it to begin your answer, right? Say, I do agree, or I agree, just I agree that, yeah, or I disagree that, simple. So you don't have to start thinking now, how do I begin? You know exactly how to begin with the template, yeah? Now, if you are given a longer question, say, some people believe that the students should be allowed to bring cell phones to school, while others believe that they should not be allowed cell phones to school, then you can use this, but it takes a little time. It takes away from the seconds that you have to respond. Yeah, so you rather keep it short. So I agree, or I do agree, or I disagree, that will do. Yeah, they're not judging you on how long your introduction is, but they would prefer a shorter introduction. Now coming to you need two reasons. Now, when you talk about two reasons, it will be reason number one, reason number two. Yeah. So when you are expressing your first reason, you can say to begin with, or for one, or you can say firstly. Yeah. Any of them, whichever is comfortable with you, you can use. So you can say, now you have the first reason. To begin with, I think cell phones should be allowed because, then you give your reason, right? And then you go on to give an example. So explanation, you can say to begin with, for one, for instance, or for firstly. Then your second reason, you can begin with in addition or secondly. Keep it simple. So that gives the examiner the clear idea that, okay, this was the first reason, this is the second reason, right? So this is your template. So when you are preparing, you can just write down the template along with your points. Say your points you write down. Now, suppose you had to bring, talk about this topic. Firstly, secondly, two clear reasons you got, yeah? And then when it comes to examples, first reason will be followed by an example. Second reason will be followed by an example. And you can give a conclusion, but not necessary. Your introduction is more important than your conclusion. So you can begin with, I agree to this for two reasons. Then you go on to firstly and secondly. Now, suppose you forgot to do that in the beginning and you still have about a couple of seconds left. Then you can conclude with, therefore, these reasons are why I agree or disagree that. Right? So this is a template which will help you to organize your answer. Got it? Now let's look at an example. Say you can begin with this way. I agree that students should bring their cell phones to school, or I agree to the idea that students should be allowed cell phones to school. Yeah. Now, after that, you have to give your reasons. Now we have a student's example over here. It begins with, I do agree that higher education, no, this is a different question. Okay. So now here you have to expand with examples. You give examples why, right? Reasons, 2 reasons and examples. So anyone ready to answer this? Your question was, do you agree or disagree that students should bring cell phones to school? So you begin with the statement, go on to 2 reasons, and each reason should have 1 example. Just try using the template. Your wordings can differ, but your format will be reason example. Anyone? Vinayak, can you give your response to this?
Ma'am, I have the points, but I'm not exactly ready with the sentence.
Doesn't matter. Whatever points you have, while you are saying, you can frame your sentences. No one's marking you here. It's just an attempt. Yes. So at least you can begin with your first statement.
So I disagree that student should bring the cell phones to the school because first of all,
Yes. So what is your first point?
my first one is that like sometimes the students use the phone, like they watch things on phone during the lectures when they are not like really paying attention.
Yeah. So it
I have seen it actually
maybe you
personally.
can use the word, it distracts them.
Yeah, it distracts them.
Hmm?
And when they are lacking attention, they choose viewing things on phone like that.
Okay. Any second point?
Second point is that it increases the addiction towards the phone, and the student chooses to do things on phone, like doing homework, that too on phone, then getting answers for some question, that too on Google and on phone. So it makes him or her more dependent on the phone rather
Okay.
than critical thinking.
Right. So you've got 2 clear points. Only thing you
Yeah.
have to arrange them a little better.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. Anyone else who has better points? Got an echo coming in. So anyone wants to try? Varshini, do you want to try?
Ma'am, I don't think I have many points, but I'll try.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Even 2 simple points will do as long as you can express yourself well.
Okay. Some people believe that the students should not bring cell phones to their school, but I disagree with this because students would this would allow easy access to the transport of students who don't travel by the bus or the school transports. We can download PDFs and other such things within few instants, even if we lose our textbook or don't get it to school. Though we have a lot of disadvantages of bringing phones to school, it is an important mode at this current era.
Okay. Yes, you have your points. Who said you don't have points?
Ma'am, but then it's 45 seconds. It's less than 45 seconds, right?
Yeah. So now you can expand a little with examples,
Okay.
right? So when you said that in today's era, the communication through electronic media is important. So most of your same, even you can say that in school also nowadays, most of the homework and assignments are shared on through mail or through messages. Yeah. So you can expand on that a little. Your information, like you said, we can download PDFs. That was an example. You can give an example, a personal example. That once at one point I forgot to get my textbook, so I was able to download. Right? So that way you can expand.
Yeah.
Okay. So now this was the agree disagree. Now here, if you see, there's an example which is written down. Now the question is, do you agree or disagree that higher education means a better career? Right? That's the question. Now it is again agree or disagree format. So you can begin with agree or disagree. Okay, one more thing. Where's version one? Okay. So Varshini, one more thing. You must focus on the question. You said some people think. Question is not about some people think. It is about do you agree or disagree? Right? So you avoid that. If the question is framed in that way, then you can use it.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. So here you will go straight away with I agree or disagree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now coming to this example, if you see, I do agree that higher education enables one a better career. So if you see, you don't just repeat the question, but paraphrase it a little bit. Yeah. Higher education enables one instead of means, just enables one. Now coming to the points to begin with, means is the first point coming up. With the advancement of technology and the advancements of the world itself, companies are becoming more complex. If they want the company to succeed, they will need to have intelligent, knowledgeable, and competent individuals working for them. Now, if you notice, there's the point made and example, if they want the companies to succeed, right? So the first point is expanded. Now, the second point, in addition, having a higher education will give you an advantage over other candidates applying for the same job. Now, here, if you see, this is an extension of the previous point, actually. Now, maybe the student didn't get a clear second point. Extension of this break. So, the attempt was to break the first point into two parts, right? Maybe this could have been expanded a little more. Yeah. So what could have been done over here? So developing specific skills would be an advantage. That could be.
Ma'am, we could even have specified some of the degrees like MBA and stuff
Right.
to
So you can, in addition
emphasize more on the point.
advantage here, you can talk about specific skills like specific degrees, right? Instead of just a BA or BSc, a general degree, a specific degree will help you to enhance your career. Right? That way you can be. So more or less, if you see, this is where the format comes in. I agree or agree that to begin with, in addition. Yeah. Therefore, these reasons are why I agree. So a very short, brief conclusion. Right? And instead of the conclusion, you can use the conclusion here also. I agree or disagree. I agree that higher education enables one to a better career for the following two reasons. So you know that, okay, you have expanded on your introduction. Okay, now if you have a personal preference question, similarly, you will handle it. Say you have a question like, would you prefer to have a higher paying job with longer hours or a lower paying job with shorter hours? Use details and examples to support your explanation. So here you would be beginning with not agree or disagree, but your keyword will be preference. So you can say, to me, or I prefer this over that for two main reasons. You're done with your first sentence. Or you can say, I prefer to do this, depend upon how your question is framed. Like here you have preference of higher paying jobs with longer hours over lower paying jobs with shorter hours. You can use both of them. Like I prefer this over that, or you can just say, I would prefer higher paying jobs with longer hours for two reasons. And then you go on to your reasons. Yeah. Or you can use, I would rather. So these are the different ways you can begin your answer. Yeah. Now going on to the points, the first reason is, you already said for two reasons. So the first reason is, or first of all. The second reason is, or furthermore, depending. Now, if you use the first reason, you can say the second reason is, or you can use furthermore. Both will do. Right? And conclusion, therefore, or if you have used it in the beginning in your introduction, conclusion is not required. Now, the conclusion, you must remember, conclusion is not compulsory. Only if you have time left, you put in a conclusion. Otherwise, just end it with your points. Right? Say there are some pointers over here. Like if you have, it is about information by reading books. I prefer to find information by reading books. Maybe it could be over finding information on the internet, by browsing the internet. Yeah. Like we have an example over here. Do you prefer to eat at food stands or restaurants? Use details and examples. So first you begin with, I prefer eating at restaurants over eating at food stands, or the other way around, for two main reasons. Right? The first reason is, and then you go on, you have, I grew up dining in restaurants as a reason. So I'm accustomed to eating out. Then this is an example. Actually, I cannot remember the last time I ate at food stall. Plus, eating is in a nice building is more comfortable. Second reason is the better food selection. So you have 2 points if you see. Now, in this case, if you're jotting down your points, what would you write?
Ma'am,
Accustomed to? Yes?
can we add about the hygiene factor in this?
Yes, your points can be different. This is just an example. You can have completely different points. Right? So here the student had 2 points. Accustomed to eating in a nice building, comfortable, those are the expansions, and better food selection. These are the 2 basic points, right? You could have different points depending upon how you want to answer it. And then conclusion, therefore, which is not required. Now, if we come to if imaginary questions, it says, if you had a small amount of money, would you spend it right away or save it? So if, and a hypothetical situation. Now here you will not say I agree or in my opinion or I prefer. What would your template be? Something like, if I had, now another thing you have to remember, your hypothetical situation questions will always be in the past tense. If I were. You must have done this in SAT. Any hypothetical situation is if I were followed by could, would, or might. Right? It will not be I will. I will is never used when you have a hypothetical situation. If I were. Right? So if you have this question, say, if you had a small amount of money. So you would say, if I had a small amount of money, I would do this. Or if I were to have a small amount of money. So you begin with if, you go on to the subject in the simple past tense, Then you go on to the subject and say you add the would statement or could statement. Yeah, or you can also use might. So you could begin with, if I had a small amount of money and I would do this. Yeah. Then you go on to the reasons, first reason, second reason, and then a little conclusion if you want. So here's an example you can go through. If I had a small amount of money, I would save it. Then if you say you save it, you have to have the first reason to save it and the second reason to save it. Yeah. First reason is I grew up in a family that prided themselves on having money in the bank. So it is easy for me to save money. Second reason is if there was an emergency. So if you see, there's one thing about the family saving, and the second point is about emergency. 2 points written down, expand on them. And maybe this person has a third point. In addition, it is more important to save money than pay off debt and pay off debts rather than waste your money on something useless. So you can put in 3 points if you have the time, or if you have not expanded enough on the other points, right? I'll just take 3 more minutes, 3 more minutes. Now, when you talk about the description or explanation type of question, it would be something like this. Do you think bicycles will be used widely in the future or replaced by other means of transport? Now, here it is not your opinion, not your preference, but what do you think about something? So your opinion about it. So an explanation has to be given. Or in this question, what is an important benefit that an employer can offer? So some point from your side has to be put in to ensure that employees are happy and healthy, right? So here, if you have your template, what are you doing? You are expressing your opinion. So you can use in my opinion, or in my view, or I firmly believe, so but not agree, disagree, or I prefer, or as far as I am concerned. And then you go on to first of all and furthermore. The 2 points expressed with examples the same way. So only your beginning will be different. The rest of the expansion will be similar, right? This is an example, you can go through it. Next, you have the advantages and disadvantages. So maybe something like, should universities allow students to watch TV in their dormitories? What is your opinion and why? What are the advantages and disadvantages of? Now you have to read the question carefully. It says, what are the advantages and disadvantages of watching TV in the dormitories? So you are expressing your opinion. You have to talk about both the sides, but you have to keep your opinion to one side. Right? Got it? Are you people there?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you have to read the question carefully. Now, if the question said, write about the advantages or disadvantages, then you can pick just one of them, either the advantages or the disadvantages. Or you may even have questions like, or you may even have a question where it could be asking you only advantages. They could give you an entire statement, and then the question would appear that what are the advantages of having TV, or what are the disadvantages of watching TV in dormitories. So you have to be very careful when you're reading the question. Yeah, we will touch on these in our next session again. So you can just go through the questions. So now the templates, you have to fix a template for yourself. Pick up a few questions. Say when you're talking about advantages, disadvantages, you can say that there are certainly both pros and cons. If you're talking about the advantages, first of all, one advantage. And however, now you are asked both advantages and disadvantages. So however, a major disadvantage, and your opinion you express at the end, right? Though I guess it is better to whichever side you are picking, right? Or you can say, I believe that it is beneficial to, but there can also be some disadvantages. And then you go on to firstly, and then secondly, you are talking about the other side. So you use the transition. However, I believe that there are disadvantages. So I believe that there are advantages and disadvantages too. That way also you can express yourself. Yeah. So depending upon how you are comfortable, fix one particular. So each type of question, you fix your introductory sentence. So you don't start stammering or thinking, how can I begin? Right? So we will go through now. What you are going to do is the 3 choice we will do later. You get to the list of topics. So here you have the general template. When you have to choose from 2 options, that is a preference question. Now, first thing you do is you start with these questions. So your questions here are segregated into the types. Just down. So here you have the agree and disagree or disagree type of questions. Now, when you are using the list of questions here, you will not choose and select. You will just pick a question at random and answer it, right? Because remember, in your exam, you will have no choice. You will have just one question and you have to go with it, right? So now your homework for the speaking task presently is pick up randomly any 2 questions from agree, disagree. Then you answer them, write down a template, write down your response. Then you go on to the preference question type, pick up any 2 and write it down and see how it goes. Do you have your points? Now use your 15 seconds to prepare, then write it down. Maybe you can write it in 1 or 1.5 minutes. Writing takes a little longer, but your points have to be there. See how you have organized it, whether you have been able to use your templates properly, right? So you will be able to do this. Where are you people?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes.
So once you are done with this, once you have your template ready, once you know how to organize your points, then we will start doing the speaking practice. Okay. So your first step is what? Can you tell me? Girl, what is your first step? Yes, girl, are you there?
Yes, ma'am, I'm there,
Okay.
but my internet isn't working properly, so I'm lagging a little bit.
Okay, doesn't matter. So what is it you are going to do now?
I didn't hear that point clearly.
Okay, so I'll repeat again.
Yeah.
You will choose 2 questions from each of the sections. What you will do is you will first fix your template for each of them. You will use your 15 seconds to decide your points. And then you will write a response. Yeah. So that
Okay,
you
ma'am.
organize your points with reasons and examples in the format that you are going to speak in. And then you speak it out and record yourself and see like how is it going. Okay. So at least
Okay, ma'am.
4 to 5, maybe 2 of each of them, maybe 6, maximum 6 you can practice till we meet again.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, then. So that's it for today. I think it was quite a bit, something new. So it could be a little overwhelming. So any questions on this? Any doubts?
No,
No,
ma'am.
ma'am.
No? Okay. So now you have to practice. After you practice, you will be coming up, or you will come up with doubts. And in the meantime, you should go back to the listening section and complete whatever is left. At least do one session at a time, at least one practice set. Okay. So maybe one day you do a listening practice set, another day you do a reading practice set. So you will be able to complete, and whatever doubts, we can solve your doubts. Okay. So that's it for today. And I want more doubts coming up in our next session. So I'll know you are really practicing. Okay then. Good night.
Thank you, ma'am. Good night, ma'am.
Thank you.
Good night, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Rekha ma'am.